Sun comes from Allah, the moon comes from Allah, daylight from Allah, night falls from Allah, the earth comes from Allah, the water comes from Allah, air comes from Allah, and fire comes from Allah. Everything's from Allah, everyone's from Allah. Everything's from Allah, everyone's from Allah. So what is Kalima? This is Kalima. What is Kalima? This is Kalima.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I want to welcome you to Story Times in Ramadan. Alhamdulillah. And you out in the real world, open the door, Ya Simpson. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. My name is Al-Qasas, and I'm the father of stories. Now you know who I am. Now we need to let the people in the real world know who you are. What is your name? Sarah. Very good.
Nima Shahid.
Nima Shahid.
Sharfa Muzammil.
Sharfa Muzammil.
Fatima Shamha.
Fatima Shamha.
Aisha Omar.
Aisha Omar.
Nabila Falil.
Nabila Falil.
Hatifa Muzammil.
Hatifa Muzammil. MashaAllah. Very good. Welcome everyone. I want to welcome you to the magical world of Simpson, where Al-Qasas tells stories of truth, and you see it in your imagination. He tells stories of truth, and you see it where?
In your imagination.
In your imagination, yes. Today, last time, the story we talked about last time. Just want to go over real quick because our time ran out. And do you remember what the story was about last time?
Yes.
The little boy was called, I think it was called Paid in Full, yeah?
Yes.
And what was that about? What did we?
The mother did so much for the son, and then the son, he did a lot. He helped the mother in many ways, but he's asking money for what he helped for. But his mother did so many things for him, but the mother took no charge. So after the son got to know that, he told it's okay, no need to pay.
Alhamdulillah. Really, it's you know it's the beauty of being a mother. You know, there was one hadith, I don't remember the word for word, but it was one man, he came, the Bedouin, right? The Bedouin man, he came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's a Bedouin, you know how the Bedouins talk. He said, Ya Muhammad. And remember, this is a long time ago, right? It's a long, long time ago. A long, 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 long time ago. How many long times ago was it? Long time.
Long time ago.
A long time ago, yes. And this is a Bedouin when Bedouins, they really didn't appreciate their women, you know. They would, it was at the time when you asked a Bedou, you said, Ya Abu Abdallah, you know, what's more important, your wife or your camel? And he would sit there and think, my wife, my camel. My wife, my camel. He would have to be thinking, right? So it shows you how, this is the most beautiful thing about Islam, how the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in Islam raised the women up. He raised the women up, because at that time, they didn't think very much about women. They thought women just like cattle. They didn't think very much, right? It's because they didn't know better, right? Jahal, they're ignorant. So this Bedouin, he came to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and he says, Ya Muhammad, right? Who deserves the most respect? And he was thinking that the Prophet is going to say, your father. And he says, your mother. And he stopped and think. He said, maybe he didn't hear what I said. He must not have heard what I said. Ya Muhammad, I said, who deserves the most respect in the house? He said, your mother. But this man, he didn't hear what I said? What, the prophet, he can't hear? Ya Muhammad, Ya Muhammad, who deserves the most respect? Your mother. How many times did he say that?
3 times.
3 times. Your mother, your mother, your mother. He said, well, then after that, who? Then your father. Then your father. SubhanAllah. Right? Another hadith, right? Where the young man was going to go on jihad. You know how important jihad is in Islam. The young man was going to go on jihad. And the Prophet said, do you have a mother? Go back to your mother. Because paradise is at the foot of the mother. Right? Do you know the hadith?
Yes.
Tell me, what was it? What was the hadith?
Once a man, he went to the Prophet and he asked, I want to take part in a jihad. And then the Prophet said, do you have parents? The man, he said yes. The boy, he said yes. And then the Prophet told, consider their service as a jihad.
Yeah. It's a paradise at the foot of the mother. So being a woman, really, it's nothing, there's no shame in being a woman. No shame at all. And although life is difficult for women, no doubt, because you live in a world of men, right? But there's pride in being a woman. There's honor in being a woman. And without women, we would have no men. Really. So it's really important that you remember who you are. And it's also important that you know your rights, right? It's very important. As women, you need to know your rights so that people cannot take advantage of you, right? Because if you don't know your rights, then the man can say this, and this, and this. Okay. But if you know your rights, no. Allah said this, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that, end of story, mashallah. Yeah, so the last part of that was what? Just quickly before I read the next story. So she said, after that he gave her the paper, and she said what? For 9 months I carried you while you were growing inside of me, no charge. For all the nights I sat up with you, doctored and prayed for you, no charge. For all the times and tears that you caused me through the years,
No charge.
no charge. For all the nights filled with dread and worry for what I knew was ahead,
No
charge.
for the toys and food and clothes and even the wiping of the nose,
No charge.
And when you add it up, the cost of my love is?
No charge.
There's no charge for the mother's love. SubhanAllah. How beautiful. How beautiful. No charge for the mother's love. And when the boy finished reading what his mother had written there with big tears in his eyes, SubhanAllah. SubhanAllah. You looked into his mother said, Mother, I love you. Huh? It's so important that we tell our mothers how much we love them, you know? Really, really. Those words are very special, really. And you'll learn them as you get older. These words are very beautiful words. And it's always good to tell your mother, you know, because there may be a time that you won't be able to tell her that you love her. So it's always important that you tell your mother that you love her, yeah? And he said, Mother, I love you. And then he took the pen, and with great big letters he said what? Paid in full. MashaAllah. Paid in full. That's beautiful. The next story, this one is interesting. This one is very interesting. I like this one. Here we go. I was so embarrassed. Embarrassed, what does it mean? What does it mean, embarrassed?
You do something wrong and like people are like
Shy.
Yeah.
Shy, yes.
Feel shy.
Okay. I was so embarrassed. How could she do this to me? I was so embarrassed. How could she do this to me? I ignored her and threw her hateful look and ran out. So, I threw a hateful look and ran out. How could she do this to me? How could she do this to me? The next day at school, one of my classmates said, Your mother has only one eye. your mother has only one eye. Ooh, how your mother only have one eye? So that's why he was so embarrassed, right? His mother came to the school, and he didn't want nobody to see his mother with one eye. I wanted to bury myself. I also wanted my mother just to disappear. I just wanted her to go away. God, just go away, Mom. Just go away. I confronted her that day and said, if you only got to make me laughing stock, why don't you just die? It's a little girl talking to her mother, or a little boy talking to his mother. Can you believe that? I was so embarrassed. How could she do this to me? I ignored her and threw her a hateful look and ran out. The next day in school, one of my classmates said, "Eee! Oh, your mother only has one eye. One eye mother, one eye mother." Ooh. Subhanallah. And he said, if you're going to make me a laughing stock, why don't you just die? This is the thing. Can you imagine saying something like that to your mother? Shame. My mom did not reply. I didn't even stop to think for a second about what I just said because I was full of anger, right? It's always important, right? We have to think before we say things. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, don't get angry. Don't get angry. Don't get angry. So it's very important, as you grow older, you have to be very careful you have to think about what you say. Because you can say things that will hurt people for the rest of their lives. Yeah? And I was oblivious of her feelings. I didn't care. He didn't even think about her feelings. He just said that. I wish you would die.
Ignorant.
Yeah, just ignorant. SubhanAllah. So I went up the house having nothing to do with her. So I studied real hard, got a chance to go abroad to study. Then I got married. I bought a house in my own, and I had my own children, okay? So he studied real hard. After that, he studied real hard. And then what happened? He got a chance to go abroad. He got a chance to go outside the country to study. Then he got married, and he bought a house of his own.
He got children.
And I had kids of my own, right? I was happy with my life, my kids, and the comfort. Then one day, my mother came to visit me. Oh. She wasn't invited. Oh. She hadn't seen me in years, and she didn't even meet her grandchildren. When she stood at the door, my children laughed at her. "Ha! Who's this old lady? Ha, with one eye? Ha! Who's this old lady with one eye? Ha! Ha!" Subhanallah. And when she stood at the door, my children laughed at her, and I yelled at her for coming over uninvited. "What are you doing here? Who told you to come to visit me? I didn't ask you to come. Why did you come?" Can you imagine him talking like that to his mother? No. SubhanAllah. What a shame. SubhanAllah. So I screamed at her, "How dare you come to my house and scare my children? Get out of here now. Get out." He's speaking to his mother like this? And this, my mother quietly answered, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I may have forgotten. I've gotten the wrong address. I'm sorry. I knocked on the wrong door. I really didn't mean to. I'm sorry." Right? She said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I may have gotten the wrong address." And she disappeared out of sight. One day, a letter regarding the school reunion came to my house, right? So we got, every year when you graduate from high school, then they'll send you, after 10 years, they'll send you a letter, say, come back and let's see all your classmates, see how your classmates are doing. And that's called a school reunion. So all the people were coming. So then he had to travel home, to his home, right? So I lied to my wife that I was going on a business trip. After the reunion, I went to the old shack just out of curiosity. So out of curiosity, right? Because now he's back in this, he traveled abroad, right? And he came back and to his hometown. And he lived in they weren't very rich, and he lived in an old shack, yeah? And he just, out of curiosity, he just wanted to, since he was in town, he just wanted to go by just to go and see the house. My neighbor said that she had died. So his mother died. He didn't even know she died. I did not shed a single tear. She died. Good for her. Good riddance. Then they handed me a letter that she had wanted me to have. And it said, "My dear son, I think of you all the time. I'm sorry that I came to your house and scared your children. I was so glad when I heard you were coming for the reunion, but I may not be able to even get out of bed to see you. I'm sorry that I was a constant embarrassment to you when you were growing up. You see, when you were very little, you got into an accident and lost your eye. As a mother, I couldn't stand watching you having to grow up with only one eye. So I gave you mine. I'm so proud of you, my son, for you were able to see the whole world anew for me, in my place, with that eye. With all my love, your mother." Subhanallah. Tell me the story. What was the story?
He's like
A boy was like
like
A boy?
he had a mother without
one eye. So
So,
then once his
one
mother
day he
went to school and his
and,
mother also came and like
And then
he
after
got
that,
a big
those
embarrassment.
children saw his
and like
mother.
the next
to
day
see your
in
mother
school, like
has
they started like laughing
He
at
doesn't
him.
have one eye and laughing
Then
at the mother.
after
He
that,
said,
like
how could she embarrass me? And then the next day, his classmates said, your mother has only one eye.
and
And
they're
then
like laughing at him.
and
laughing
they
at
yelled at him.
And then,
Now that he
he went back home without even looking at her. And then he studied very hard.
And he
And
like
he
and
got
he
a chance to go
got
abroad.
And he got married,
He got
he got
married.
his own
He got his
children.
own house. He got children.
children and house.
And
one time
His
his
mother
came to visit
him.
He has
At
not
that
seen
time,
her grandchildren for a long time.
so
he-
then at that time,
the
like,
grandmother
his
knocked
children,
knocked the door, and
his
they were
children
laughing at her and saying, "Who is this
laughing
old
at-
woman
with
without
one
eye,
without one eye.
And then
after
the
that,
son, she shouted,
he
he
yelled at
shouted to
her.
his mother.
He's like,
Yeah.
"Why are you
How
here?
dare
You are
you?
not
You're not
invited you
invited.
here.
Why
Go
are you
away
embarrassing
and
me?"
everything." And
And
then
Then one time,
the mother
once
told, "I'm
for
sorry,
his
I think I came to the wrong address."
house and
Yeah.
and his mother escaped from there.
yeah, he disappeared.
And
Then after that, once he got
Once a letter came to him from his school telling to
like come and visit
his friends for a school reunion.
how they did.
And then
And then he
just
lied to his wife and told her,
finished
"I'm going to a business."
Uh-huh.
Then after that, like when he went to the school
then
and he
his
saw the
neighbors
letter.
told that his mother died.
Yeah,
And
then
then
they
his
handed him
neighbors
a
handed
letter.
over a letter to
then
him. The letter read, "Dear son,
son, I'm
I'm
very
very
sorry
sorry
that
I'm harassing you. I'm sorry for making
your
embarrassing
children
you in front of
scared.
your children.
I'm very sorry for like coming to your house without
but
any
then-
invitation."
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Yes. Come on, keep.
The mother
And
told
then,
the mother
and then
told
when
him that
you were young,
when he was
when you were young,
when you were small,
an accident and lost one eye, so that's why I gave you one eye, and I'm very
and
I'm very
she was
proud
like
of you.
so happy that you could see all the world, all the world around with
all
your
my
own
love.
eyes.
Beautiful story. You said it better than me. Oh, what great listeners you are. What great listeners you are. Wonderful listeners. MashaAllah, MashaAllah, Tabarakallah. Listen, Uncle Moody's back there waving his hands and he's saying the clock on the wall says it's all. And it's time for us to go. So we must close the door on Simsim. Until next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum out there in the real world. until the sun sets and the moon rises again, wishing you peace and love. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Sun comes from Allah, the moon comes from Allah, daylight from Allah, night falls from Allah, the earth comes from Allah, the water comes from Allah, air comes from Allah, and fire comes from Allah. Everything's from Allah, everyone's from Allah. Everything's from Allah, everyone's from Allah. So what is Kalima? This is Kalima. What is Kalima? This is Kalima.